Automation is not new. The Industrial Revolution was all about automation, and building IT applications to replace manual paper processes has been happening for years. This time, we're finding better ways to automate, and it really is about putting people at the heart of it and helping them to focus on the hard stuff, on the activities that require empathy, that really do need that human touch. And of course, what we're seeing as a result is automation, hyper automation, is number one in Gartner's top technology trends for 2020. So I'm Sharon Moore, IBM CTO for Public Sector in IBM UK. And with me is Andy Astbury, our Director for Central Government. Andy, I think the first point to make is that there is no point in automating bad processes.
Yeah, I agree, Sharon. I think what the pandemic has shown us is that you need to adapt, and departments have adapted super well to the challenges that have been thrown at them. But they've adapted by doing work differently and adapting the way that they have handled the business processes that they needed to accomplish the work. So I think what we've seen is kind of 5 years of digital transformation within 5 months, the way that organizations and departments have changed the way that they're working. And I think, this has given us a great opportunity now to look forward in terms of how the process design should change for the future. And it gives us an opportunity to reinvent, if you like, or redesign the way that business processes should occur in handling the way that we're going to do work in the future. I think there are, some departments have already made great strides on that journey. If you look at the UK Intellectual Property Office, they started their transformation journey some time ago. And what they identified were there were a lot of processes that were repeated within different silos of the organization. And so what they looked to do is actually see which common processes occurred across those silos. And then they reinvented that process altogether so that they put the user at the heart of it, but then automated that single process across each of the different silos in order that a common process was then delivered once rather than on multiple times. And I think what they saw then as a result was when the pandemic hit, they were actually able to do 98% of their renewal process without actually having IPO staff in the office to handle it.
And when we think about hyper automation or intelligent automation, then I guess there's three big components as part of that. Firstly, RPA digital workers that perform repetitive tasks, which might act on data extracted from unstructured documents. Then there's core automation, which captures and digitizes content, which manages work, it automates decisions, and it monitors and it reports. And then lastly, the buzzwords, we have AI and machine learning. They can be used to classify and understand content, to prioritize tasks, to make predictive decisions, and even to build chatbots. We've got a great story actually of the earlier building block of RPA and how that's transforming police. So let's go to that.
RPA is robotic process automation.
RPA is about adding digital workers to our workforce in Avon and Somerset to take away repetitive, non-value-add tasks from support staff and officers.
We have a vision to be an outstanding police force. One of the things that gets in the way of us achieving that is a blizzard of demand and a blizzard of data. So there are many processes which we can automate to save ourselves time and spend that time serving the public.
The first RPA was the uniform ordering. The reason we picked that is because it is a very repetitive task.
We had a backlog of 700 orders. That would have taken 2 months for a human worker to clear. The digital worker cleared that queue within 2 weeks.
The public that we're here to serve have an insatiable appetite to see their police officers out on the streets, and automation, where it's appropriate, will give them the time to get out on the streets and serve the public.
So Andy, thinking about the opposite end of that spectrum with AI, obviously there are many examples of what organisations can do. How about sharing how some organisations and government are getting started?
So I think some of the easy places to start have been around the area of digital assistants, chatbots, if you like. We've done many things to infuse business processes with data and AI in order to make those processes more informative to the users of them. But the chatbots or the digital assistants are quite a good place to start, because it makes a big impact to an organization for not an awful lot of investment of time or finances. So a good example is at the Royal Marsden. So when the pandemic hit, we worked with the Royal Marsden to provide a digital assistant to provide key information to key workers. So what we were finding was that the information and the guidance around HR policy and working policy was shifting all the time to accommodate for the different challenges that were getting thrown up, and providing key workers with the critical information that they needed in order to keep them active and productive was critical.
So we started by saying that we need to build new ways of doing work, and of course we've got the technologies to do it. If we want people to remember a couple of things, then one is this is a journey that encompasses many types of automation, not just one. Our second point is that there is no point in automating bad processes. Bearing that in mind, Andy, would you finish with recommending how government organisations can get started?
So what we have found really super successful is enterprise design thinking workshops. Sounds a bit of a mouthful, but what it really does is try to nail down the priorities of what you're trying to deliver. The object of it is to solve complex problems. It focuses the process on the user experience and the user journey, rather than on a back-ended or old-fashioned system. It encourages collaboration across different stakeholders of the organization, so you get everybody's point of view in terms of what you're trying to fix. But also it helps you prioritize what the delivery pipeline should be. So it tries to focus on, the easy to do but most effective tasks. The design thinking workshop could be run over, 1 day, 2 days, 4 days. It varies depending upon what problem we're trying to get to. At the short term, in a day, you can define a current issue from an end-to-end point of view. You can get some collaboration around what the solutions might be. And then you can build a plan out in terms of how you're going to go tackle it and what the priorities might be. If you go to a bit longer period of time, then you can take that problem and then start to really define it more thoroughly. You can start to build a prototype of what it might look like as a solution. Indeed, you can even get to a minimum viable product that you could get to the point of rolling out. That's probably into 4 days of work, but the whole process of it is about helping you prioritize where to start and actually getting an understanding of the problem that you're trying to fix. And what we've noticed through this exercise is you can get to results very quickly. The Royal Marsden example, some of the banking virtual assistant examples that we've seen in the market, we've delivered in 4 or 5 days. So, it does prove worthwhile. It is a good process to go through, and it's a great place to start.